Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for NXT, NXT UK and 205 Live, where myself and Tom Campbell will take a look at each show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A+ to F. Now, we're running a little bit late today, as you probably guessed, given the time this video went up, so without any further ado, let's crack on. Hit the intro. 205 Live has a cold open this week. It's Drake Maverick, and he's telling us that last week his actions maybe went a little bit too far, but they were entirely justified. He says that Mike gets everything he wants, a chance at the belt and a chance to kick Drake Maverick's ass. He said that next week they're not competing, they're fighting. So to close off next week's 205 Live, it's going to be an unsanctioned match between the general manager Drake Maverick and Mike Kanellis. We then go straight to the ring for the opening match tonight, which is the Lucha House Party versus Humberto Carrillo and Raul Mendoza. Mendoza has impressed massively in his last couple of NXT appearances, so it's no surprise that he's here with his former tag partner Carrillo. Mendoza and Kalisto start things off by going hell for leather on reversals. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, while Power Rangers Mystic Force Grand Metalik looks on from the outside. But Kalisto and Mendoza can't make any headway. They're on each other all the time, and they're both just that bloody good. And then when Carrillo and Metalik get in, they go through the exact same motions. Even though Carrillo and Mendoza managed to hit some double team offense, Lucha House Party still maintain control. There's a huge top rope Rana from Metalik onto Carrillo, but Mendoza gets in just in time to break up the pin, and everything falls apart. Mendoza hits a massive dive to the outside, taking out the other two members of the Lucha House Party, and then Carrillo hits a corkscrew twisting splash onto Metalik to pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a B. The story in this one was that these two young upstart guys are just as good as, I guess, the veteran Lucha House Party. Both teams showcased exactly what 205 Live's all about, and they did it really well. Humberto and Mendoza both look really strong, so it was a bit of a win-win. But overall, and it's odd to say, it was a great stalemate of a match. We then cut backstage to the Sings, and they hate that Kendrick and Tozawa still have their Bollywood awards, so they challenge them to a tag match next week. Then we go back to the ring for Oney Lorcan versus local competitor Toni Isner. Isner actually starts off pretty strong, laying in some strikes on Lorcan, but it doesn't last long. Lorcan just murders him, hits the half and half, picks up the win, and this one gets a C. It was a squash, but it was a necessary one. We haven't seen Lorcan back in the ring since the Anything Goes match, so it was good to have him come back and get a nice, quick, easy win. We then cut backstage to Drew Gulak, who says that tonight he goes one-on-one with not somebody from Raw or SmackDown or NXT or anywhere like that, even though he is from NXT, but he means, I guess, sort of metaphorically, it's a man from his past, a man that he trained as Swerve Scott. He says that things have changed and he's a very different man from the last time they wrestled, and he's going to teach him some things because he has a lot he still needs to learn. We then go to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Swerve Scott versus Drew Gulak. Gulak starts off strong and in control, with Scott having to reconsider his options moving forward. Scott's then able to drive Gulak to the outside, and then when he tries to get back into the ring, he hits this weird, innovative cartwheelie splash thing, while Gulak's halfway through the rope. It just looked really cool. They then start trading strikes, and it looks like Swerve actually injured his hand because he's just sort of grabbing a hold of it, and from this point in the match, he doesn't use it very much at all. It just sort of hangs there limp while he's trying to just work with the other one. Gulak is able to overcome the strikes, sending him to the outside, driving him into the barrier, hitting a razor's edge onto the ring post. He just nails him with chops on the announce table. It's systematic destruction, but it's not enough to put Scott away. Gulak then locks in the Gulak, and just as things look like they're over for Scott, he gets his foot under the rope. He drives Gulak back to the outside, drags him back in, and once he's back in the ring, he hits this massive double stomp, and he almost picks up the 3. When Gulak kicks out, though, he starts really screaming in agony and grabbing that hand. Scott then catches Gulak into an armbar, but he can't get full extension because he can't use the hand. And then after some traded blows, Gulak uses the Cyclone Crash to pick up the 3. I'm going to give this one an A. I don't know whether Scott was legitimately hurt during this one. I'm hoping it was just a work. It was very convincing. And if he did work, I guess, with a hurt hand, it would add to his character, but you never ever want to see people get hurt. He looked like a ready-made star here, almost putting Gulak away a couple of times in a convincing manner, and I'd be very surprised if he's not popping up on 205 Live more often. Overall, I'm going to give 205 Live a B+ this week. It felt a little bit stunted compared to the momentum we've had moving forward in the last couple of weeks, but I guess it would be unfair to call it stunted, if you know what I mean. It was filled with solid wrestling and a lot of hype for next week's unsanctioned match, and I just can't wait to see it. Scott is a ready-made star, and if Mendoza is going to be up more regularly, I hope they don't just lump him with Humberto. Let him be his own person, because he's fantastic in singles competition. Both guys deserve like solo runs. You can't just lump them together because they used to tag. But it's one of those things I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. So that was it for 205 Live, and I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Mr. Campbell for NXT UK.
Why does Belinda always make my tea so weak? Oh, hi! Mr. Campbell here with your NXT UK report from Wednesday night. We're still at download. Like, they have literally sucked every single bit of juice out of this cloth. For NXT UK. I feel like we've been at this festival for about 30 years. Started off with Trent Seven walking towards the venue. Asked about his match tonight with Volta, and Trent Seven says, "Gonna knock his head off." I'm gonna knock his head off, AI. Trent Seven, who is an island unto himself now that Tyler Bate is injured and Pete Dunne is doing his own thing on the other NXT. More on that in a minute. Wink. So he's all alone against Imperium and Volta, and tonight he's going to take it to Volta. Trent Seven here made me care so much about the main event in just a few words that he said. Like, I am ready to watch him stand up for British Strong Style. Kenny Williams and Noam Dar gets us underway once again here in Derby. It is the grudge match over a couple of weeks. We've seen Noam Dar and Kenny Williams sparring back and forth. Noam Dar wants to take Kenny Williams under his wing. Kenny's like, nah, you're all right, mate. So they have themselves a little cheeky match here. Back and forth with wrestling to start off with. Speeds up a little bit after about 5 or 10 minutes. During the match, Vic Joseph talks about Noam Dar's match with Ligero. Not Ligero, Ligero, who sounds like a used car salesman. Hi, I'm Ligero. Come and see my cars with Garo and Garo and Sons. Sale starts Friday off Junction 5. Yeah, well done. So in this match, Kenny Williams did Dean Ambrose's rebound clothesline, and he did Dirty Deeds 1.0. Not the one that's now like a DDT, the one where he hooked his head first and drove him into the ground. You remember that one from way off of the past? When a wrestler leaves the WWE, do their moves become orphaned? So they have to find like a new family? And if so, has Kenny Williams now adopted Dean Ambrose's old moveset? I'm just asking because I'm thinking of making him on 2K19 tonight, so it makes my life a lot easier if I can just copy Dean Ambrose's moveset to him. Great spot in this match where Kenny Williams went to skin the cat outside the ring. Noam Dar grabbed his leg and turned it into a knee bar. If Shawn Michaels and Noam Dar ever had a match, Noam Dar's winning with that move. The finish comes with shoe shenanigans. Shenanigans, if you will. Kenny Williams loses his shoe and Noam Dar gets a hold of it. The referee's about to hit him with the shoe. The referee stops him. So whilst the referee is distracted putting a shoe down, Noam Dar hits a low blow on Kenny Williams, hits the Nova Roller. 1, 2, 3. Noam Dar wins via naughtiness. Good match to start. I'm going to give this one a B+. I want to see these guys go again. That'd be nice. Backstage, grizzled young veterans are working out in the gym, and the main crux of this is they want some new opponents. Zach Gibson calls Sid Scala Sid Scaly, which I think is both a really cute nickname, a good heel persona, and I'm pretty sure somebody's already drawn it as a furry online somewhere. Check DeviantArt for Sid Scaly. The first ever 6-woman tag team match in NXT history took place now. It was Jinny, Jazzy, Gabert and Kaylee Ray taking on Xia Brookside, Piper Niven and Toni Storm. Toni Storm. This was a Donnybrook. Wasn't a long match, probably burned about 10-15 minutes, but it was just fast-paced. Look out in this match in particular for Xia Brookside, who was on fire in this one. I gave her a bit of jip last week, but she was strong in this. Does an amazing tornado DDT at one point. Everybody dives to the outside at one point. However, it's Xia Brookside that eats the pin after shenanigans from Jazzy Gabert leaves her wide open for a facebuster from Jinny. Another cool part of this match, if you watch it, you don't see Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm get amongst it, because Kaylee Ray's the #1 contender and she's playing the mind games with Toni Storm. So she's constantly on the outside, snarling at her, creeping around her. Good fun, Kaylee Ray. Good, clean, wholesome fun, being a weird stalker. Gonna give this one a B, actually. This was not a long match, but it was high octane, and we've got a nice bit of development, not just in the main women's title feud, but there's something there brewing between Brookside and Jinny, which I quite like as well. And it's always nice to see Piper Niven. She's a beaut. Main event o'clock. I thought my Fitbit was fast. No, it's main event o'clock already. It's flown by this week's NXT. It's Trent Seven versus Volta in a non-title match. And whoa, this was a belter. Volta makes his way down to the ring, and immediately Trent Seven dives through the ropes and takes him out. And Trent Seven is battering Volta. Like the passion from Trent Seven in this bit, as he is just wasted with punches and kicks and throws, and oh, it's great. Only when Volta manages to get a breakaway and hit a German suplex does the tide turn, and then we see the story of the match, which is Volta just taking down Trent Seven, wearing him down, but Trent Seven refusing to stay down. Like the last cowboy in town, just keeps getting up and just keeps firing up on Volta. Volta eventually hits that powerbomb on the apron outside, hoists him back into the ring, and drops him with another powerbomb. And then we see Volta go down for the cover, then change his mind. Picks him up, powerbombs him again. Picks him up, powerbombs him again. And at this point, the rest of Imperium very calmly walk towards the ring. They stop just by the ring apron, turn their backs to the ring, and Volta just powerbombs the bejesus out of Trent Seven, to the point where the referee, who still hasn't registered a pinfall in this match, the referee stops the match and awards it to Volta. This was brutal. You don't need loads of blood and sweat and anger in a match. You don't need like scars and cuts to make something brutal. But it was just Volta just powerbombing the life out of Trent Seven, and Trent Seven just left in a heap at the end of this. This match, I think, made Trent Seven. He looks so strong in it. I mean, he's a made guy already. You know, former Progress Atlas champion, multiple time champion everywhere else. Just top quality Wolverhampton boy. But this really, in the NXT UK universe, I think maybe pushed him right to the top. And this made Volta and Imperium just look just despicable. I hate you, I love you, but I hate you. Given this match, and people get on me for grading badly, right? I grade what I see. What I saw tonight was a main event worthy of an A. Bang! Giving you an A. Amazing main event. Trent looked powerful in defeat. Volta looked powerful in victory. Loved it. Overall, NXT UK this week, bang, gets an A. I think it was light and shade on last week's show, which was quite floppy. It was. In comparison to this, which was tight, which was focused, and every match meant something and was watchable, in some cases incredibly watchable. Love the main event so much, especially. Next week, I do believe we're going to get the tapings from Plymouth, which they did on Friday, and I'm desperately trying to avoid spoilers because I want you and I to enjoy them at the same time. So no spoilers for what happened there, and we'll check in next week. Let's go back to Sam Driver. He's finished doing the drugs in the teacher's lounge. Have a lovely day. I love you. Bye.
Thanks for that, Tom. Let's move now on to NXT. We start things on NXT this week with the first semi-final match in the breakout tournament that pits Angel Garza against Jordan Myles. Garza starts proceedings by offering a handshake and then pulling his hand away at the last minute because he's well cool and that. He even spins around and laughs. Myles then very quickly takes things to the floor in, I guess, a show of don't do things like that to me, and he keeps hold of control for a little bit. Garza then ramps the speed up though, and things spill to the outside, and this is where he turns into a bit of a Healy boy. He drives Myles into the steps and the barricade before getting back in the ring and removing his pop-off pants to a massive, massive crowd reaction. Once Myles is back in the ring, he locks him in a camel clutch, that classic Lucha Libre hold, and Myles only just manages to escape. There's a point where Myles goes for, I guess, like a springboard splash, but Garza catches him midair with a vicious-looking dropkick. Both men are then down. Garza then tries to get back on the front foot, but Myles is having none of it. He hits him with a deadlift German into a bridging pin and picks up the win. Myles advances to the finals of the breakout tournament. Now, I'm only going to give this one a C+. I just don't think this match showcased the talents of both of these guys in a way that both of their first round matches did. It made sense that Myles won. Garza doesn't really need the win. The crowd are already firmly behind him, and I just hope the next match and the final are going to be slightly better showcases of the styles the guys are capable of. We then go backstage to Johnny Gargano, who hypes Cole Gargano 3, and his choice of stipulation for the match is Street Fight. We then go back to the ring for Bianca Belair versus Xia Li, and have you ever noticed that Bianca Belair's theme is basically just the music from like the new Then Now Forever bit at the start of all the shows? Belair owns this one. She gets off to a massively vicious start, laying in the strike. She even picks up Li and sort of has a delayed vertical suplex, but just squats her weight like 4 times before dropping her. Li then gets the tiniest bit of offense in, but then Belair hits the KOD and picks up the win. This one gets a C-. I get the need for a quick win for Belair to keep her looking strong, but it felt a little bit like she was playing 2K against like an unmanned second player controller. And Li deserves more than just a couple of strikes in terms of the stuff she got in during the match. She's been having some really good showings. I just think if they'd given it a bit more back and forth, Belair still would have looked strong and Li wouldn't look anywhere near as weak in defeat. We then cut to another Killian Dain promo, and he says that he's heard what people are saying. He says, I wasn't just going to attack anybody from behind. I attacked Matt Riddle because Matt Riddle is a somebody. He says maybe Matt Riddle is the toughest guy in his world, but in Dain's world, there's no training, there's no discipline, and there are no limits. And he finishes things by saying that he can't wait to show Matt Riddle his world. This was excellently delivered and excellently shot as always. We then go to some security footage from the Performance Center from earlier in the week. Jessamine Duke is just getting out of the ring. She goes up to a locker, and who pops up other than Mia Yim, who attacked Shafir in a car park. She just slams a locker door into Duke. She just throws it to the floor, keeps slamming her arm in it. She's swearing, she's getting bleeped, which is quite a nice touch. But it's sort of hard to believe because in the real world, Duke could absolutely have a life. I am on board though to see where this is going, especially with Shayna waiting at the top, because Shayna doesn't lose. Shayna doesn't lose matches, so I don't know how this is going to end for Yim. We then go back to the ring for a Velveteen Dream promo, and he says that he will never step down as NXT North American champion. He says that he's heard that Roddy can go all night, misses, but Roddy isn't big enough to ride this ride, misses. He says maybe there is somebody in the back listening to me right now that is big enough, so come on down. And then out comes Roddy Strong. Roddy says that the Dream is scared, Roddy is the real deal, and he will take the belt off him in Toronto. But then before Roddy can say anything else, out comes Pete Dunne to a massive pop. Dunne then snaps Roddy's fingers and he just stares at Dream awkwardly, like looking at the belt and looking at Dream, until Dream just quietly gets out of the ring and walks to the back. Backstage, Roddy finds Regal and he's like, what the hell? Like, I want this match against Dream, give me the match. Regal says that his old friend Johnny Saint has kindly allowed Pete Dunne to transfer to NXT US for just a little bit. He tells Roddy that the match at Toronto will be a 3-way, it'll be Dream versus Roddy versus Dunne. Roddy, not one to go down without a fight, then demands Pete Dunne in a match next week so he can take him out ahead of TakeOver Toronto. We then go back to the ring for Casey Catanzaro versus Io Shirai, and Io just decks Casey for a bit, and then out comes Candice. Candice takes out Io, she hits a dive, she grabs a chair, Io peels out of there as fast as she can. I'm going to give this one a C+. I'm not as hyped for this as I should be, and I don't know why. It just feels like the build has been there, but it's just not really been prioritized, if you get what I mean. We then cut backstage to Adam Cole, who hypes up all the other members of the era in their matches at TakeOver Toronto, and then he reveals to us his choice of stipulation for Cole Gargano 3, and that choice is a straight up one-on-one singles wrestling match. And then we go back to the ring for tonight's main event, which is Keith Lee versus Damian Priest. Both these guys are rapidly becoming two of my favorite wrestlers on the NXT roster, so I'm hoping this one's going to be pretty good. Things start with an awesome display of strength and speed from Lee before they get a little bit more calculated with Priest at the controls. There is this mammoth Falcon Arrow from Priest onto Lee, like how he was even able to lift the guys beyond me, it just blew everybody away. And just in general, the strength on show during this match is just off the charts. Things progress in a fairly back and forward manner. There's a great moment where Lee's hulking up and he maintains wrist control before he's just batting Priest down and not letting go of him. And to finish things, possibly my favorite spot of the match, Priest goes for a tope con hilo and Lee catches him into a powerbomb position. Priest manages to wriggle free and he drives Lee into the ring steps, and Lee is not happy. He looks really pissed off. He chases him back into the ring. The referee's sort of getting in the middle of them. They're driving into a corner. It's like, no, come on, separate it. And while Keith Lee looks at the referee, Priest, the opportunist that he is, hits a cyclone kick to pick up the 3. I'm going to give this one a B+. It was memorable, it was full of moments, and both guys went for it. It's given Lee more TV time, Priest looks like a ready-made star having just re-debuted a few weeks ago, and it's all around great for both guys. I'll be quite excited to see if this becomes a feud moving forward. But in terms of an overall grade for NXT this week, I'm gonna give it a B. It was a bit of an odd week this week, it was sort of like 205 Live, but you need to understand that momentum can't just keep ramping, because if you think about it, like, the fans are the engine, the wrestling is the fuel, and you've got to throttle it a little bit. You know, it can't just, you're gonna blow up the engine if it starts going too mental. Those couple of throttled weeks really allow you to feel the madness when everything's just off the chains. We at least got some strong matches, some good setup, and we know 2 of the stipulations heading into Gargano Cole 3. We don't know Regal's yet. I've got a feeling that'll be revealed on the night when they go 1-1. But yeah, all in all, pretty strong week. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.